Just like somebody said, this is awesome. This is awesome. Let me say this to you, and I appreciate that fine introduction and those kind words, and particularly from Tom Izzo. You know, I talked to Mark Hollis, and I mentioned to him, I said, supposedly we're only supposed to have about 5 minutes for this little talk. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I never made a 5-minute speech in my life. And it took me 60 years to get here. So, so what I told Mark, I said, I'm going to make you a deal. And he said, what's that? I said, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Just like every coach tries to get an edge. I said, take 5 minutes off my next speech. I'll add it on to this one. I got 10 minutes. Let me say this to you. This is one of the best honors that I've ever had in my life. It's not the All-American. It's not the academic All-American. It's not the most valuable player. And I'm not bragging. I'm too old to be bragging. What I'm trying to say, by going into the Hall of Fame, is something that everybody would cherish. And I can see myself down through the years, when I'm not around anymore, my legacy will be there in the Hall of Fame. And I can see my boy Kyle and his family. That's my dad. And I can see my grandchildren say, that's Grandpa. And I can see my former players and friends say, I knew this guy. And I'm going to tell you, being very honest, you can't help but swell up. It's fantastic. I had a press person here in our press conference ask me, how do you feel about going into the Hall of Fame? And I answered him back. I says, how do you think I feel? So I want to thank the committee, Mark, and anybody who gave me the support of getting into this Hall of Fame. It's one of the greatest honors I've ever received because it'll be endured through the years. My other honor was being elected captain because it came from my teammates. And that's the greatest compliment that you can have. I would like to talk just for a few minutes about my time at Michigan State in the 50s all the way up to 66. I'm not going to detail everything, but you know, when I came to Michigan State in 1951, I was a walk-on, just like Hank said here in the video. And when I came to Michigan State, I came with what? Not a promise, not a guarantee, only a chance. And that's all I wanted, coming from a little old town of Marquette, Michigan, in the Upper Peninsula. I had to work 18 hours in the girls' dorm for my board. 2 meals a day, 56 cents an hour. Not a pile, but I had a chance. and my two great coaches, both Biggie and Duffy, gave me that opportunity. And so as I went along and became a red shirt in 52, I finally made that squad as a sophomore. I got on the traveling team, and I played maybe about 10 minutes a game. I was a third string guard because we had a lot of people. Michigan State was on the move. As we all know, it might have been one of the greatest eras of Michigan State. The campus was bouncing. We had tremendous enthusiasm. And I think the best way to describe Michigan State at that time, and it took me a little time to think it out, but Michigan State at that time was working hard to get an identity. And there's probably people, I know there's people in this room that was during that era. We had a president who had great foresight, Dr. Hanna. Our two mentors, Biggie and Duffy, were outstanding. They had great foresight of our football program. And the football program, believe me, just like President Simon said, was very, very integral in the development and the spirit and the enthusiasm of Michigan State. We were bubbling so hard that I remember one of our players, Bert Zegers, having a cup of coffee in the Union. He says, "You know what, Buck?" I said, "What?" "I can't believe how much spirit those cows got. They're dancing." That was Michigan State. And can you imagine, in the 50s alone, in 7 even short years, we're talking about 4 national championships. We're talking about a Big Ten conference championship. We're talking about 2 Rose Bowl victories. We're talking about 28 games straight. Finally got beat by Purdue 6-0. We're talking about 46 All-Americans. That was Michigan State. And as I look at it today, I owe everything to Michigan State. And one of the things that I learned in coaching from Biggie and Duffy, they were a little 2 separate personalities. Biggie was a gruff guy. Duffy was a lighthearted guy. But they both had the concepts of what takes to get a program successful. The fundamentals, the mechanics, a good staff, those kinds of things. But the 2 things that I learned, and I applied them all my life, was confront and demand. Biggie and Duffy demanded their players to perform. There was a difference between right and wrong. Do it the right way. That is very simple. And they didn't care if you were a star or you were the last denominator. If you did something wrong, they were going to confront you and ask you. They weren't afraid to ask. Please do it right. Can you imagine this? And I would be remiss if I didn't bring this out. They were so impressionable to us. So many of our guys in that era wanted to go out in coaching. Can you imagine the guys that went out? Frank Cush, Chuck Fairbanks, Hank Bulla, George Perlis. Guy after guy after guy. And very successful. Frank Kush got a stadium named after him. Chuck Fairbanks was outstanding at Oklahoma, took the Patriots job. My best friend, Hank Bulla, was the doctor of defense in the 52 for 22 years in the NFL. Now that's an amazing turnout and outturn of what Biggie and Duffy meant to the program. Michigan State is an unbelievable place, as Kathy mentioned. There is something about Michigan State. There's a bond and a cohesiveness and a spirit that's been built up year after year at Michigan State. And I'm going to be very honest to every one of you. I am so proud to be a part of it. Just to be a part of it. And I love Michigan State. I love Michigan State. Michigan State has been good to me. And I have tried through the years to be good Michigan State. I've tried hard. I've been here 3 different times as a coach. And right now, and then I'm going to sit down. That guy owes me right here. I had him in class in '83, and I gave him an A in football. He owes me. There's no question about it. But the reason I want to just take another minute, and I'm serious about it, and I know I've been up here too long. You know what's amazing right now? And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. We got a legacy at the present time at Michigan State in a nickname guy, Coach Dave. He reminds me so much of our Michigan State days. A guy who believes in the fundamentals of the game. He's willing to discipline his squad. He's asking for the loyalty that should come from his staff. And he's got a staff that'll work and coach. And the guy runs the program the right way. And every one of you guys know, every one of the people in here, you people know, hey, there's some problems, and I'm not trying to be negative, but hey, he runs the program the way the program should be run, in the same way with this guy right here. And I'm not barking up somebody's tree. That's the way it is. And we are so lucky to have this person. Because as long as he's in charge, our program is going to be an excellent program. There's no 2 ways about it. All right? I want to recognize one person in here that was very responsible for me getting into the Hall of Fame. He was on the great football team of 65 and 66. Both of them were national championship years. I'll tell you what, you talk about a guy that's green and a guy that's white, but that's a fellow by the name of Pat Gallinoff. And I'll always be indebted to him as well as my teammates in coming into the Hall of Fame. Pat wrote a marvelous letter for me. And I can't be more appreciative of what Pat did. And then, basically, you know what? I'm lucky I'm standing up here tonight. From one aspect, there's a lot of guys on my football team through the years that should be in this Hall of Fame. And I feel the reason I'm up there is because of them. I'm very, very indebted to my former players because they were great people, and I'm telling you what, they contributed just as much as I did to the Michigan State program of football. I'd like to say this to you, as they say in Spartan land, God bless the Spartans, God bless America. Thank you.